You know, in today's world, trust feels like it's in short supply, right? That makes credibility, well, it's basically a superpower. Over the next few minutes, we're going to break down exactly how you can build it step by step. Let's dive in.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll dig into the problem, what we're calling the crisis of credibility. Then we'll build the solution with the 3 pillars of trust. And finally, I'm going to give you a super practical tool to make sure every single thing you communicate from now on is building that trust.
So first things first, why does this matter so much right now? Well, because we're all working in a world where trust isn't just low, it's incredibly easy to break. Okay, before we get into the numbers, I want you to do a quick thought experiment. Just think back to the last person at work you really truly trusted. What was it they did? Was it just that they were smart? Or was it something more? Got it? Okay, hang on to that thought. And look, this isn't just some vague feeling we all have. It's a real, measurable crisis. This Gallup poll just lays it all out. Sure, nurses are way up there at 85%, which is great, but just look at how fast that trust drops off as we go down the list. And when we get to business executives, whoa, it's a shocking 20%. Let that sink in. That means only 1 out of every 5 people looks at a business leader and thinks, yeah, they have high ethical standards. This is the wall of skepticism we're all trying to climb. There's actually a name for this vibe, this widespread skepticism. We call it the post-trust era. The default setting for most people today isn't trust, it's doubt. So in this environment, your job, our job, is to actively tear down that wall of doubt, one interaction at a time. Okay, so that's the bad news, right? That's the problem. So what's the solution? Turns out it comes down to a really simple but incredibly powerful framework for building trust from the ground up. First, let's get on the same page about what we're even talking about. Credibility. It's your reputation for being trustworthy. And here's the thing, you can't just demand it. It's something you have to earn, little by little, action by action. And this is the key to the whole thing. I want you to picture your credibility like a 3-legged stool. It stands on 3 legs: competence, caring, and character. And just like a real stool, if even one of those legs is wobbly or missing, the whole thing comes crashing down. You absolutely need all 3. All right, let's tackle that first leg of the stool, competence. This is the one most people think of first, and it's definitely important. So what is competence? It's basically your what you know, what you can do. It's your knowledge, your skills, your ability to actually solve problems and get the job done. Think of it as the price of admission. It gets you in the door. So how do you actually show people you're competent? Well, it's all about building a solid track record of success. You gotta deliver results. It's also about never stopping learning, always honing your skills. And, this is so important, it's about how you talk. You have to communicate with a focus on action and results, not just empty talk. But here's where a lot of people go wrong. Competence alone is not enough. Real, lasting credibility, that comes from the other 2 legs of our stool. And these are all about the how you work with people, and frankly, who you are as a person. Okay, next up, caring. Now, in a business setting, this doesn't mean you have to be all soft and fluffy. It's about something much more concrete. It's about showing that you genuinely understand and respect the interests of the people around you. It means you see them as human beings, not just pawns on a chessboard to get a job done. And you can hear this in the way people talk. So ask yourself, is your language all I, or is it we and you? Do you actually take the time to listen and understand what other people need? Are you someone who gives help freely without expecting something back right away? That's what caring looks like at work. And that brings us to the final, and I would argue the most important pillar of all, character. This is your reputation for being a person of your word. It's about people knowing without a doubt that your actions are going to line up with your promises. And don't just take my word for it. Look at this data. It backs up this whole idea perfectly. When you ask people what determines trust, honesty and ethical behavior are at the top, way above expertise. The takeaway here is massive. Who you are is way more important than what you know when it comes to trust. So, how do you build that character? It's not a mystery. It's about consistent, everyday actions. Tell it like it is, even when it's tough. Don't hoard information. Extend trust to other people first. And maybe the biggest one of all, admit when you mess up. Seriously, nothing builds trust faster than taking responsibility. Okay, so we've got our 3 pillars:
Competence, caring, and character. That's the what. But how do you put this into practice every single day? I'm going to give you a super simple tool you can use for pretty much every piece of communication you have. It's called the FAIR test. FAIR is an acronym, F-A-I-R, and it's a checklist to run your own communication through. So before you hit send on that email or before you walk into that big meeting, you quickly run it through these 4 filters: facts, access, impacts, and respect. Is it accurate? Am I being transparent? Have I thought about how this affects everyone else? And is it respectful? Now, this checklist really gets into the nitty-gritty. It asks some tough but powerful questions like, have you conveniently left out the facts that don't support your case? Or are you being totally transparent about where you got this information? Honestly, I'd suggest you pause right here and really read through these. This is your personal trust-building cheat sheet. So if you remember one thing, let it be this. Credibility isn't built in some big heroic moment. It's built in the small moments, message by message, email by email, meeting by meeting. Every single interaction is a brick, and we're either using it to build your reputation up or you're tearing it down. So I'm going to leave you with a question to take with you. I want you to think about the very next email you have to write or the next meeting you're about to join. Now that you have this framework, competence, caring, and character, and you've got the FAIR test in your back pocket, how are you going to make sure that next interaction builds trust instead of breaking it? The choice is always yours.